the 2021 edition is out now in theaters and on HBO Max. It is a reboot of the Mortal Kombat movies. There was only one that came out in the 90s, and that was Mortal Kombat in 1995. Mortal Kombat Annihilation does not exist in our minds. This version of Mortal Kombat follows an MMA fighter named Cole Young who teams up with Sonya Blade and Kano to try and find the Temple of Raiden to train for a tournament called Mortal Kombat. The Outworld is trying to win again. They have won the tournament 9 straight times, and if they win again, they are going to invade Earth and take control of it. Now, the trailer for this movie, for me, got me hyped. I was really interested to see what they were going to do with Mortal Kombat. As somebody who has never played any of the Mortal Kombat games, yeah, I know, I've never played them. I have Mortal Kombat 11 on the PS5. I haven't played it yet. I was trying to do Assassin's Creed Valhalla and then move right into Mortal Kombat 11, but then I got really super goddamn tired of Valhalla, so I kind of gave up on Valhalla, honestly. It's way too damn long. Why do they make these games like 900 hours now? My God. And, you know, Mortal Kombat 11 just kind of went by the wayside. So yeah, I've never played a Mortal Kombat game. I know some of the characters, but I don't know them all or what their powers are. Can you believe I've never played a Mortal Kombat game? I've played Frogger, Helmet Chaos. Have you played that game? Game's rad. The best game ever made. Better than Mortal Kombat. I played Frogger Helmet Chaos over Mortal Kombat. That's just how we're rolling here. So I was really interested to see how they were going to go about this Mortal Kombat reboot. It seemed like it was a more fan-focused reboot, especially since you have Scorpion's "Get over here" catchphrase, and this movie is rated R, so it definitely, and the game series is rated M. You have a lot of the blood, you have a lot of the gore. I feel as if for fans, that was definitely a pleasing sight. And I just got done watching this movie, and this was a bit of a disappointment. This is a totally inconsistent movie. This movie takes itself way too seriously about 80% of the time. All too often, we are just drowning in terrible character development for these characters that we don't care. Who is this Cole Young guy? I have no idea. I could really care less, and we're just drowning in poor performances as well. At least give decent performances, adequate performances. You know, this is a Mortal Kombat movie. I'm not expecting to be, like, blown away. I'm not expecting an Oscar winner. Hell, I'm not expecting Shakespeare here. But seriously, give it a little bit more effort. Everybody in this movie, aside from Hiroyuki Sanada, because he's just flat out a badass and the man, literally feels like they know they're being filmed and taking their jobs way too seriously and overacting on purpose, which leads to them giving terrible performances. I could have lived with adequate or a little below average, but for a big budget movie, this is, oof. It's a little bit rough in the acting department. And like I said, it takes itself way too seriously. There are some tonal shifts from really serious portrayals of events to some like cheesy one-liner moments, which were a bit of a welcome sight, I guess. There's just not enough of them, honestly. Like the 1995 PG-13 rated Mortal Kombat, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, was just slightly better because that movie at least knew what it was. This movie just grapples with what it's trying to do. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know that it should be just this crazy fight 'em up, punch 'em, kick 'em, stab 'em in the chest, rip out people's guts type of movie. Instead, it tries to be something super serious, and that leads to a very inconsistent tone across the board. And I feel as if that comes across too in the performances. It's not just the actors and actresses in front of a camera knowing they're being filmed. It's that I feel as if they also just don't know what type of movie they're in. If they're trying to make something super serious or something a bit cheesy and more fun and maybe not lighthearted, but, you know, hearkening a little bit on that side, which is what this movie should have been. And for 70 to 80% of the movie, it wasn't. For the other 20%, the opening sequence and the final half hour are what I wanted the movie to be. The opening sequence was exhilarating. I love that opening. I'm not going to spoil exactly what it was, but it involved Hiroyuki Sanada, and Hiroyuki Sanada, and he's a badass in anything he's in. Watch him in like The Last Samurai, The Wolverine. Dude's all over the place. He's the man. I love that guy. He's got such great physicality. He's just got that screen presence that I feel like a lot of physical actors just don't have, and he is just tearing house in the opening. I'll say that, the movie did a good job at hooking me because it was Hiroyuki Sanada kicking ass. I was like, whoa, yeah, man, this is what I want to see. I love it when Hiroyuki Sanada just kicks. That dude's the man. Sorry if I'm sucking the dude's dick or something, but the dude's awesome. I love Hiroyuki Sanada. I wish he was in more things, because he's just badass. Finally, the last half hour of the movie is just all kick them, punch them, rip their guts out, slice them in half. You know, that type of action that I feel like the movie was lacking to this point. Everything in between is just... it's either middling or just, it doesn't need to be there. And I've already talked about a couple aspects, but a good majority of this movie prevented me from having fun. And it's really because it goes back to the focus of that Cole Young character. Who is this guy? I have no idea. He's just an MMA fighter. Look, I understand this is a Mortal Kombat movie. We're here for the fights. We're here to see some people just get torn to shreds. We're here to have some fun. But this is also a movie for people like me who have never played the games. You have to have at least somewhat of a sense of character and story. This movie has none of that. No character in here is relatable or even fleshed out for all that matter. This Cole Young guy is just an MMA fighter. Sonya Blade is just a ex-special forces in the military. Kano... I don't know what to say about him. It's also full of so many exposition dumps, and that is my biggest issue with this movie, I think, other than one other thing I'm going to be talking about. The movie is attempting to have a story. It's attempting to have a plot, because you're adapting this from a fighting video game that probably doesn't have much of a story or much character in the way of it anyway, which is fine. If you're going to translate those weak aspects of the game into a movie adaptation, have it focus more on what makes the game the game. Don't try and overexert a movie that doesn't need a crazy story or crazy characters or exposition dumps when it's not needed. I probably would have been more okay with the minimal character development if there was minimal story and less exposition dumps. And less sequel baiting. That's another huge problem I have with this Mortal Kombat movie, because that's exactly what this movie feels like. It feels like it is just set up for a sequel. And a lot of movies have been doing that lately. Why are we setting up sequels for movies that we're not sure are going to do that great? Wait and see what the numbers on HBO Max are like first, or what the box office. I know we're in a pandemic, but I mean, Godzilla vs. Kong made a shit-tillion dollars. I mean, that's the highest grossing movie of the pandemic. So why don't you wait to see what Mortal Kombat's numbers at the box office are before you commit to a sequel? Because I read somewhere that these actors signed on for like 5 more of these, and you can tell by the end of the movie, and by some certain plot beats in the middle of the movie, they don't care about the story for this one single movie. They care about the story for an overarching universe and series of sequels that they want to make, where the focus should have been, if you're going to do a story, like I said before, I could live with a minimal story and minimal character development, but like I said, they overexert themselves on the story because they're setting up so much. If you only focused on a story for a single movie, I think I would have liked this movie a lot more than I actually did. You wouldn't have to worry about trying to set up characters that are coming in the next one, or, you know, maybe do a plot line that feels like it's doesn't belong in this movie and it feels like it belongs in a sequel. There's just a little bit too much going on in the middle of this movie, in between that exhilarating opening sequence, which was awesome, and the final half hour of the movie where everything finally feels like it's coming to a head and characters are actually throwing down with each other and I was actually having a sense of fun. There are moments in the middle of the movie sprinkled throughout that do present some fun, but there's not enough. The opening and the last half hour are where I was really digging the movie. Everything else besides those little spurts just did not work for me. It is a totally inconsistent movie with very bland characterization, a story that is overexerted to expand itself into a series of movies that we shouldn't really be focusing on right now. We should only be focusing on a single movie here, and there's way too many exposition dumps within this story that I felt like weren't needed. Honestly, your opinion of this movie is going to depend on whether or not you're a huge Mortal Kombat fan or whether or not you're somebody who's getting into this universe for the first time like I am. Even though I had some knowledge of the characters, I didn't know everybody. Like, I knew who Raiden was, I knew who Kano was, I knew Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Sonya Blade. I didn't know, like, what their powers were. Like, I didn't know who Melina was. If you're looking for, like, X-Men style cage fights with more gore, you might be slightly disappointed until the end. But I think for huge Mortal Kombat fans, this is going to be like a nostalgia trip, and it might be exactly what huge Mortal Kombat fans are looking for. For me, I'm going to say Mortal Kombat is only enjoyable with half a bucket of popcorn. I think that there was enough for me to like in the movie to give it a more mixed review, but at the same time, it's only slightly better than Mortal Kombat 1995, and that movie was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. That's sad. And if I had to pick between the two, if I wanted to have more fun, I would watch the 95 Mortal Kombat. If I wanted something a little bit more serious, I would watch this, and something that's a little bit more well-made, more put together other than the script and the characters and the world, and I don't know, it's really, really tough to pick which one I would gravitate towards, but I think I would gravitate towards watching the 95 one over this, which is a damn shame. Guys, what did you think of Mortal Kombat 2021 edition? I want some feedback. Drop me a comment in the comment section below. I will leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.